All right, welcome back everybody. This week's going to be another adventure into one of the foundational, in my view, one of the foundational songs in the classic rock area that gives you a great roadmap for guitar soloing in a minor pentatonic position. So this is I Heard It Through the Grapevine by Creedence Clearwater Revival off of the Cosmo's Factory album. And this is just a great example of like the classic CCR sound. I'm going to talk about a couple secrets of how to get that CCR sound if you're trying to play this live. I'm going to take you through John Fogerty's parts, which is in a different tuning on the record. I'm going to take you through Tom Fogerty's parts, which is in standard tuning. And stay to the end, I'll show you how to sort of merge those together if you're in a standard tuning situation. I'll show you how to get closer to the sound that you hear on the record without having to completely retune or have another second guitar tuned down. And I'll take you through that. So this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so already, please jump down and click subscribe and ring the bell. The bell tells you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. All my videos have chapters in them, so you can jump right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I really appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Or even better, you can join my Patreon where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. Links in the description, so check it out. Okay, so Heard It Through the Grapevine. This is CCR's version of the R&B song, and they just take it in a completely different direction. But this is one of those songs, like I said, that especially if you're sort of early-ish in your guitar career, this is a great song to be able to just jam to and learn a very fundamental sort of scale and position to do these great rock solos that you hear. Yeah, so we'll get to that. So I'm going to start with John Fogerty's parts. So John Fogerty wrote most, if not all, the music from CCR. And there are many songs where he got his Les Paul Custom, his black Les Paul Custom, and he tuned it down a whole step, while his brother, Tom Fogerty, who played rhythm guitar, would stay in standard tuning. And the mix of those two guitars playing together is really one of the foundational ways to sound like CCR. But let's talk about John Fogerty's part and the tuning. The tuning first, I'm going to call it D standard. It's just like standard tuning, E standard tuning, but the lowest string, the sixth string, is tuned all the way down to a D. And the intervals are all the same when you're tuning the guitar. So when you go through all of that, if you were to retune it, your notes are now D, G, C, F, A, and D. Okay? All the intervals are the same. The chord shapes that you make are the same chord shapes that you're used to, but some different things happen, right? So like this song is in D, but because you've tuned your guitar down, you're going to play an E shape to get that D pitched chord. Okay, with me? All right, so I'm going to take you through this D tuning and how he's playing all his parts. Don't worry if you want to learn in standard tuning. I'm going to do that at the end too, but let's go through this now. Okay, so the song, once you're in the tuning, the song opens with the riff, the Heard It Through the Grapevine riff, and he's got some tremolo on. You know, get that swampy CCR sort of sound. It's only swampy because somebody said it was swampy, by the way. It's really not swampy, is it? Someone just said it was swampy, and now we all think of it as swampy. All right, so the riff. So we're basically going to make an octave. It's an octave between the open sixth string and the fretted 4th string. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to do this. The low string is just going to be a droning string. It's going to stay the same. And then the riff is going to happen on the 4th string. Okay, so the low string is just going to be doing this. While the riff is happening up here on the 4th string. But you play them together, okay? And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can do a hybrid where you hold the pick and you use the pick on the 6th string and you use your finger on your 4th string. Okay, so that's one way. The other way is you can just use the pick, and you're sort of muting by the way you're holding your finger here on the 4th string. You have the little tip of your finger muting the 5th string. So you can just take your pick and sort of just drag across those 3 strings, and you're only going to make sound out of those 2. And I'm just doing downstrokes there. That's another way to do it. Right? Or you can use upstrokes. Or you can mix them. Either way, the down one seems to be sort of the easiest and the way that you can get it cleanest. And by using your pick that way, you get a little more punch out of that string. If you're using your finger, it's a little more subdued. But just any one of those ways. Learn all the ways, but pick the one that's your favorite and do that. Okay, so that's the opening riff. So let's go into sort of the verse chords now. So because now the song is in D, and I would say it's a minor key, okay? But if you listen close on the record, it's sort of ambiguous whether or not he's actually playing that minor. What makes the chord a minor is that 3rd. You would play like an E minor shape, but we're in the pitch of D, right? But you sort of don't hear, at least I don't hear it very clearly. I think he plays it sort of ambiguous, where he's going to mute that. Right? I'm just muting with the meat of either my ring finger here, or you can see I'm holding what looks like an E shape here, but I'm actually muting that 3rd string. See, that sounds more right to me than, and it's certainly not major, right? So I'm keeping it ambiguous, but it's still got that minor tonality. Okay, so that's the first chord, during the verse. Ooh, before I move on, let's talk about the strum. So the CCR strum, the John Fogerty strum, let's just call it the Fogerty strum, right? This is just, he strums in a 8-note pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? And on the 2 and the 4, he mutes the strings, hits it with your pick, you know, mute with your left and your right hand. It's like having your own drummer. The drummer normally hits the snare on the 2 and the 4. Right? So that's the secret to like a zillion CCR songs, is that Fogerty strum pattern, and him and his brother, I think, largely both do it. All right, so let's come back to the chords. So our first chord is that ambiguous D. Now we're going to go to a ambiguous B shape. I'm going to call it the shape from now on. You can see the actual pitch of the chord because we're tuned differently over my shoulder, but I'm going to refer to the shape. It's just a, I'm going to again keep it ambiguous. I'm not going to play those major or minor thirds. So it's just, and I'm just trying to play on those strings and mute the rest. Right, so E shape, B shape, A shape. Again. C sharp minor shape, and this one I am doing the minor third. A, E shape, A shape. And then the chorus, I heard it through the grapevine, is your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and then we're back to our interlude. Play it however you want. And then they run through it again. So that's the first verse and the second verse. In fact, in terms of rhythm guitar, those are the chord formations for the entire song. You're either singing over a verse or you're guitar soloing over a verse. The verse and chorus formations. Right? So it runs through that twice, and then it'll take you into the guitar solo section. And again, like I said, the guitar solo is gonna play over that formation of the verse going into the chorus again. All right, so I'm gonna take you through the first 2 guitar solos. I'm calling them 2 guitar solos. There's sort of a break, it's all one sort of long solo and there's breaks in between. I'm gonna take you through 2 of them, and I'll show you what those licks are going through those. And the rest of the song after that is just another like 5-6 minute jam of sort of more of the same kind of stuff that he's doing on these solos that I'm going to show you. He's deviating from those, but if you learn what's happening in here, then you can totally vamp and know what he's doing on the rest of the jam, on the jam out. So where we are and where he's playing this, in my opinion, on the record, is right up here in your E minor pentatonic, where you're sort of based at the 12th fret, okay? Pentatonic, as you know, is a 5-note scale. E, G, A, B, and D. Now I know I just blew it because we're actually in the key of D, but I'm just trying to keep it real, keep it honest. Like on the 12th fret, okay, we normally call that an E. So it's your minor pentatonic shape. 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, right? So that's our zone, which I believe he's soloing in. And in terms of tone, pretty clean, you know? There's really not like a whole lot of rip and distortion going on in here. Really cuts through. But I think he's on his neck pickup, I believe on his Les Paul Custom. And so he's going to start off, it comes in after the second verse and chorus, and he's going to start with the big minor pentatonic bend on the third string that you hear so much. But he's going to give a little start on that 14th fret, your root note there. There's a great little tasty blues trailing off blues riff, but again, that's all in our pentatonic scale. That's the same as that, but you can hear him sort of slide down. Nice, very tasty. And he climbs back up, and notice it's very close to the vocal, which I love. I love guitar solos that sort of stick around the vocal melody and then just sort of build off of that. I think it's very cool. Again, very comfortably right here in your minor pentatonic shape. So we're coming up, and the note we're going to get to is that one, which is one of the two notes that's not in the pentatonic scale that we'll come to. But I think he bends this up. He doesn't fret it that first time. He bends up on the fourth string, which you don't do a lot, right? And grab that 12th fret on the third, right? So those together. Yep. Then he sort of, I think he hits that root note a couple times, and he bends, does a quick bend up to the high E, and does a little trail off again. Back to this. Okay. This is our change to the C sharp minor shape. That's the second note that's actually not in the pentatonic scale that we come to. Love that. And then this lick, you fret up here on the 14th fret on your third string, and you walk up on the fourth string. You sort of bounce back and forth. Love that. Right? All of that's right in there. He's just playing in that little shape there. Then he's going to make his guitar sing. Heard it through the grapevine with some double stops. That's all off of that minor shape there. Make sure you get both those notes. And he catches that fourth string on there when he does those. So this whole thing, that's in a million rock songs, right? So he's just bouncing back and forth between this A shape and this G shape. So let me come back to that. Right. And then he does these little pickups here on the 14th fret, just on the second and third string. Counter to the beat. Plays it a little differently that second time. So he's basically doing this similar thing on both of those phrases. He just plays them a little bit differently on each time, which you want to do, right? That was the first time. And that's it for the first solo. So then it goes around again with your little break. so fun. But here's the solo number 2. It's actually half as long, but he's doing very similar things. And again, I think it's right up here in this minor pentatonic position based on the 12th fret. So he comes in a little faster with those initial bends, but the phrasing is very, very similar. He still does that same, bend up on off your 3rd string, and then that little run coming down afterwards. But he does, I think he hits that bend 4 times instead of 3, and it's a little faster. Right? And we're going to go all the way up to our high E string. All of that is, again, our minor pentatonic. Right? Now we're going to go in a little into our double stops. That little section there. And notice those bends are very minute. They're not very big. They're maybe a half a step bend, maybe, does he get all the way up to there? Maybe. He certainly doesn't bend up to that. It's not doing that. It's a very, very subtle bend. Up, down. Kind of seasick, right? After that, I think he's got a little pre-bend in there. I'm not exactly sure. My tabs will have it exactly for my Patreon members. But he does a little climb out of that. I may have something a little wrong on the end there, but he's just basically vamping to come out of that. So yeah, all again right in that magic minor pentatonic shape that just unlocks so much in a lot of Fogerty solos. But yeah, now live, when you watch videos of him playing live for years after, a lot of times he starts his solo down here in that E minor pentatonic position, right? So he's sort of moving things over a string. You can do a lot of it. You can sort of still get there. He doesn't, not that he plays it exactly the same, but some of the licks that are on the record, you can tell he's up here with those double stops. And where the positions are, you can tell, especially those double stops. They sound different, like the tonality of the string. But anyway, that's just my nerdness trying to figure out where he's playing these things. You play it where you want, but this is where I think he played it on the record. All right, so on the record, after all of those guitar solos, it goes around as I think they come out, do a chorus, and do their sort of interlude again. And then they go on for another like 5-6 minutes of just jamming, soloing again. And he's just doing the same stuff in the same ballpark of where he was soloing in there. So have fun with it. You can listen to that. You can hear, pick out what he's doing. A lot of that. He's just jamming, but find your spot there, get comfortable, and have some fun. Okay, and while Tom Fogerty is playing his parts on his D standard tuned guitar, his brother Tom is playing on his standard tuned guitar. I think he was playing a Guild. I don't know what he played on the record, but you see him live. You see him a lot of times. You see him playing a Guild double cutaway, similar to this ES335 that I've got. But he's standard tuning. So while John is playing his parts that we're learning, Tom is just playing in standard tuning. And just much like what his brother's doing, I think he's also doing the ambiguous D, where he's not, or like I don't think he's not playing that third, in my opinion. And so, you know, his chord shapes are just the standard ones that we know. D, under that intro riff that his brother's doing, right? He's comes in with this. With that strum. And then our verses. When I hit that G, again, I'm sort of not playing that major third. I'm keeping it ambiguous. And then your chorus. Keeps going while John plays the riff. You just hear that strum, that CCR strum. All right, so that's all his parts. Now, one more thing you can do if you are playing this live and you want to stay in that D sort of key and get kind of a, I don't know, a hybrid between the two. Maybe you're the only guitar player. Try tuning just your 6th string down to a D. Yeah, get that tuned down to a D. So you get that low. And then you can do that riff. Right there on just the 6th and the 5th string now. Tremolo. And then just play everything in standard. And you can hit that low note on your D. It means your G needs to be like this. That's the same. That's a little sharp. And that's it. So that's a very easy compromise. And then if you're guitar soloing, you're just doing everything that we talked about. You're just doing it here at the 10th fret. Exact same shape, exact same places that your fingers are moving to in relation to each other. You're just sliding it down 2 frets. So that's how you can take care of this in standard tuning. All right, well that was I Heard It Through the Grapevine by Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I hope you learned something new today. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down and click subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Ring the bell, because the bell will tell you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, and if there's another song you want me to take on and do something similar, let me know what that is too. But until next week, take care everybody.